Hello, welcome again. I'm going to present the second episode of Physiology from the General Principles of Physiology. So episode 2 is about homeostasis. Okay, can you see this illustration? Science and faith. It is saying goodbye, Lucy. Okay. So Charles Darwin. It is illustrated here, and for his contribution of the origin of a species, but nowadays it is an outdated document. Okay, so all we are inherited our genetic makeup from our parents, but the level of organizations starts from the conception, when the sperm cell and the egg is united. So the next step will be cell division. Okay, cell division and growing of cell will occur in fascinating order in each and every parts of the cell. So then after cell division there will be cell differentiation. Some cells are going to be epithelial cells, and others are going to be connective tissue, and the others still will be nerve cells, and the other will be muscle cells. Okay, so this is specialized cell types. So the epithelial types are important for substances to allow exchange of material from their composition from intracellular to extracellular parts, and connective tissue will anchor and will connect each other, and the nerve cells are important for transmission of nerve impulses, and the muscle cells are also important for generation of heat and movement as well. So this for composition of our group of epithelial cells will form a tissue, and connective tissue again, connective tissue cells in different connective tissue cells will form tissues, and the nerve cell again will form tissue, and the muscle cells will again group of muscle cells will form tissue. So these tissues are fascinatingly in order will combine together to form a functional unit. In such cases, a nephron, which is a functional and structural unit of kidney. So this is a functional unit, example kidney, is formed. So the nephrons are formed inside the cell. Then these groups of functional units of tissue finally will form organ. In this case, the kidney. So the kidney is an organ, and the kidney and its several structures together will also form the organ system. In this case, the urinary system. So in such a way, all organs are going to be formed embryologically. So finally the organism will be formed or developed from the embryologic period. Okay. So this is fascinating and very secretly growing structures in our body. Finally the organism will be formed. So we are going to discuss what is happening inside this body, okay, from a single cell to an organism. This is an embryology of a human body. So today we are going to discuss about homeostasis. What's homeostasis? It is maintenance of a nearly constant condition in the internal environment. It is also called the body's capacity for self-restoration when there is a deviation happening. So it is a state of dynamic equilibrium, as it is illustrated by Hippocrates. Then the ECF is the internal environment of the cell, as it is described by Claude Bernard. So it is a control of a vital parameter. So the question is, what keeps this set point? I will give you one second. What keeps this set point in our body? Okay, have you answered it? It is the negative feedback. Okay. What are but then the pathways that alter homeostasis? Homeostasis could be deviated from the set point by several factors. That the commonest one are nutrition, undernutrition or overnutrition can affect. Toxins, substances or pathogens that enter to the cell can affect. Psychological or overthinking, stress and the like can affect. Physical, you can take exercise, could affect the homeostasis, and genetic, the reproductive part, and finally the medical. For instance, taking drugs can alter the homeostasis of the body. But homeostatic regulation involves four parts or mechanisms. These are a stimulus. The first, there should be a stimulus, and this stimulus could be sensed by sensors or receptors, and there should be afferent pathway to the central nervous system. Then in the afferent pathway or in the central nervous system, there is an integrative part or the control part, and finally the efferent part that takes away to the effector, so the effector will respond finally. Okay. So what are the various parameters in our body? It could be, these are the set points taken. It has its own physiological ranges, but this is a set point. For the arterial oxygen partial pressure is 100 millimeter of mercury, and carbon dioxide partial pressure is about 40 millimeter of mercury, and the arterial blood pH is about 7.4 etc. Glucose, for instance, taken 92 milligram per deciliter is or about 5 millimole, and core body temperature is about 7 degrees centigrade. The serum sodium 140, serum potassium 4, serum calcium 2.5, mean arterial blood pressure about 90 millimeter of mercury, and glomerular filtration rate about 120 milliliter per minute. Okay, so the negative feedback, how it works, how it happens, okay, is where the response never reverses the original stimulus. It is in the form of closed loop control. It favors life stability mostly, but prevents overactivity of hormone synthesis, and it is the commonest in our body system. Okay, for instance, let's say the effective circulating volume is changed, so the volume sensors found in our different parts of our body will sense. Then the kidney, if it is excess, it will eliminate it. If it is deficient, will conserve the substances. Okay, so renal sodium excretion will be adjusted. If it is excess, eliminated. If it is deficient, it will be absorbed by different mechanisms. So this is negative feedback system. So in the negative feedback system, it is a fundamental mechanism that keeps set point to its normal part. So the sensor is there to detect the change in that physiological variable. So the comparator or the set point will limit or will recognize it from its parts. The error signal will be sent, then the effector will respond. So the negative feedback factor opposes the stimulus. So the control variable will be sensed by the sensor. So the component of negative feedback system includes the sensor, the comparator, this is a recognized deviation from normal set values, and finally the effector, the muscle and glands. Okay. So let's say water deficit occurs in our body. So if there is water deficit, this leads to an extracellular osmolarity increase. Okay, then this will be sensed by osmoreceptors found in the hypothalamus. Okay, then ADH will be secreted from the posterior pituitary gland. HA secretion will be increased. Then plasma ADH will increase. This will increase H2O permeability in the distal tubules and collected dust. Finally, water reabsorption will increase. This is in converse, there will be decreased excretion of water. Okay, by this means this water deficit will be restored. So the several control variables will control the effective circulating volume or the blood pressure. The blood pressure sensors are found in the carotid and aortic arteries of our body. So these are called the pressure sensors. This is here. So when there is a change, there will be an afferent signal from the nerves. Then the medulla, there is a comparator, and there is an efferent signal will be taken. So the efferent signal will act in the heart, in the blood vessels, in the arterioles. So the peripheral resistance will increase, in the blood venous return will increase, then the heart rate will happen, then the blood pressure will increase. So the conversely, the opposite will occur in the same fashion, but in different ways. Okay. So in the case of thermoregulation, so heat production and heat loss have to be equivalent in our body. So the set point is 7 degrees centigrade in our body, but it can be deviated up to 37.5. It can be tolerated when there is vasodilation occurring and there is a sweating from the skin. But in lower cases, there is about to 36.5 degrees centigrade. It is physiological range from 37.5 to 36.5 is the physiological range. So when it is decreased, there is a vasoconstriction and shivering will occur and muscles will generate heat. So by this mechanism, it will regulate the body temperature. Okay. So let's say another example, dehydration. So dehydration with an increased blood volume and increased blood plasma osmolarity. These osmoreceptors in the hypothalamus will be activated, will sense this part. So ADH secretion from posterior pituitary will be initiated, and tourist behaviorally will drink water, and water drinking will increase the water intake, and the kidney also conserve more water retention. So this dehydration will be restored. Okay. Next, the positive feedback system. This is where the response enhances the original stimulus. Okay, this is dangerous sometimes. Promise a change in one direction only. it's less common in the homeostatic activities, brings about vicious cycle because it is later, but sometimes it could be useful. Example, loss of 2 liters of blood. What will happen if please compare loss of 1 liter of blood and loss of 2 liters of blood from the body. So let's take one positive feedback example, which is a life-saving. Sometimes life-saving activities are positive feedback system. In childbirth or parturition, what will happen? First, the head of the fetus will push against the cervix. So it is repetitively done. Nerve impulse transmitted from the cervix to the brain by this mechanical compression. So brain stimulates pituitary gland to secrete oxytocin. Then oxytocin will move from the bloodstream and oxytocin carried in the bloodstream to the uterus. Then oxytocin stimulates again uterine contraction and push the uterus towards the uterus towards the cervix. So in such a way, finally the baby will be delivered. So this is what we need. So it is life-saving sometimes. But let me give you an example. There is gastric secretion in our body. There is blood clotting. There is generation of the signals. What will happen in such cases? In each case in which positive feedback is useful, the positive feedback itself is part of an overall nerve feedback process. Okay, what is the vicious cycle of a positive feedback system? Let's take one example. Positive feedback system sometimes is life-threatening. Why? Because it initiates the situation promotes in one direction only. Here is elevated metabolic rate. Then this heat production is the rate of heat loss. Then it will repeat itself. High fever will render from 42 to 43 degrees centigrade, about 180 and 109 degree Fahrenheit. Since the neurological damage will occur as the temperature increase, so death will happen from 44 degrees centigrade to 45 degrees centigrade. So unless an intervention occurs, this is very lethal, and this is due to infection normally, but unless and otherwise intervention is taking place, so this is lethal, this will lead to death. So you should be in mind the danger of negative positive feedback system. So the control systems of the body are extracellular. We exit time, sorry, so we will stop here. Yeah, I will come with next topic in the next episode. Thank you for listening. This is enough. We exceed time, sorry. Okay, thank you for listening. For more physiology lecture, please subscribe.